The stage lights burned into my eyes as I stood clutching my diploma, its edges crinkling in my grip. My heart thumped with a mix of triumph and nervous anticipation, craving just one moment, one word of praise from my family. Before we dive in, leave a comment below. Where are you from and which city are you tuning in from? After you read this story, don't forget to share what you'd do in this situation. Be real, drop it in the comments. We read every single one. Let's get started. When I stepped off the stage into the crowd, my father's voice sliced through the cheers like a blade. "That diploma's worthless, Sarah," he said, loud enough for nearby relatives to hear. His arms were folded, his face tight with disdain. "You think a piece of paper makes you special? Go home and help your brother with his company. That's what success looks like." My smile stiffened, frozen on my face. Around me, other families hugged, laughed, snapped photos. Mine, they watched me shrivel under Dad's words. "Dad, I worked 4 years for this," I said, my voice quivering. He raised a hand to silence me. 4 years down the drain. "Who's going to hire you, Sarah? Don't kid yourself. Your brother's the one who will carry this family, not you. Learn your place." My cousin snickered. "Guess that cap and gown's just for show," she muttered to my aunt. Heat flared up my neck. My fingers gripped the diploma so hard the ribbon nearly tore. Mom didn't say a word in my defense. She just stared at her phone, avoiding my eyes. My brother, Ethan, smirked like he'd already claimed victory. I swallowed the ache in my chest. "You don't have to believe in me," I whispered, barely audible, "but I won't live in Ethan's shadow forever." Dad leaned closer, his eyes icy. "You'll do what I tell you, and that's that." The world blurred, cheers, cameras, happy families fading into a haze. I walked out alone, my heels clicking on the polished floor, each step echoing my shame. That night in my room, I sat at my desk, staring at the diploma. My hands shook as I traced my name on it. This was supposed to be my proudest moment. Instead, it felt tainted. But the story didn't end there. The next morning, a sleek black SUV rolled up to our house. The engine's low hum drew everyone to the windows. When the door opened, my grandfather, William Hayes, the man my father hadn't spoken to in years, stepped out holding a polished mahogany box. The air grew heavy. "What's he doing here?" Dad muttered, his face paling. Grandpa ignored him, his eyes locking onto mine. "Sarah," he said, his voice firm and clear, carrying across the quiet morning. "This is for you." He opened the box. Inside were a set of gleaming keys nestled on a thick envelope sealed with crimson wax. The keys caught the sunlight, flashing into Dad's narrowing eyes. Ethan broke the silence first. "What's this, Grandpa?" he asked, faking curiosity, but his grin wavered. Grandpa's voice cut like a knife. "Not for you, Ethan. This is Sarah's." Dad's jaw clenched. "Dad, whatever game you're playing, stop it. She doesn't need this nonsense." Grandpa's eyes blazed. "Yesterday, I heard how you shamed her on her graduation day of all days. You said her degree was worthless." His words hit like a slap. Neighbors slowed their morning walks, glancing at our house. Mom tugged Dad's arm, whispering, "Keep it down. People are staring." Dad's face flushed. "She needs to face reality. Ethan's the one with a future." "Enough!" Grandpa's voice boomed, silencing him. He turned to me, his expression softening slightly. "Sarah, open the envelope." My hands trembled as I broke the wax seal. Inside were crisp documents, property deeds. The address at the top made my breath catch. This is a downtown condo," I whispered, blinking to confirm it was real. "Not just any condo," Grandpa said firmly. "It's yours, fully paid, along with the office space below it. I bought it years ago, waiting for the right time. Yesterday was the final straw. You deserve better than being treated like a second-class citizen in your own family." The papers shook in my hands as gasps rippled around me. Ethan's voice rose, frantic. "That's not fair. I'm the one running a business. I could use that space. Why her?" Grandpa's stare was razor-sharp. "Because she earned it. She didn't cut corners or rely on handouts. She worked, Ethan. While you've been chasing money, she's been chasing knowledge. Don't you dare question why." Dad stepped forward, fists tight. "Dad, you can't just hand out property like it's nothing. She can't handle it." Grandpa didn't flinch. "She'll learn. And I'll support her every step of the way, something you never did." The tension pressed against my chest like a weight. I swallowed hard, my voice breaking as I spoke. "Grandpa, why me? Why now?" His face softened, the lines around his eyes deepening. "Because yesterday I saw my granddaughter humiliated when she should have been celebrated. You're not invisible, Sarah. You're not weak. It's time the world and this family sees it." My throat tightened. For years, I'd stayed quiet, buried under Ethan's shadow and Dad's constant criticism. Now, Grandpa was pulling me into the spotlight. Dad's face twisted with anger. This is absurd. Sarah, don't think this changes anything. You still answer to me. Grandpa's voice dropped, lethal and low. Not anymore. She has her own place now. The words landed like a lightning strike. Ethan sputtered, Mom pressed a hand to her mouth, and Dad stood frozen, his authority slipping away. I gripped the keys, the cold metal biting into my palm. For the first time, I didn't feel like a burden. I felt free, but freedom came with a spark of danger. I lifted my chin and met Dad's gaze. You said my degree was nothing, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Well, tomorrow I'm starting something that'll prove you wrong, and you won't control me anymore. The silence was deafening. Dad's lips pressed into a thin line, his nostrils flaring. Ethan's eyes burned with jealousy, and Mom still wouldn't look at me. Grandpa rested a hand on my shoulder, grounding me. Sarah, your future doesn't need their approval, he said. Don't waste energy convincing them. Just show them. The box snapped shut with a heavy thud as Grandpa handed it to me. As I turned to head inside, clutching the keys like a lifeline, I felt the power in my family shift. But none of us knew then that this was only the start. Dad and Ethan weren't going to let me rise without a fight, and I wasn't about to back down. The condo door swung open with a gentle push, sunlight pouring across gleaming hardwood floors. I froze in the doorway, gripping the keys so tightly my knuckles paled. This was mine. The space smelled of fresh paint and cedar, a blank canvas ready to bear my name. From the balcony, the city sprawled vibrant and alive, the hum of traffic below like a heartbeat of opportunity. Grandpa really did this, I whispered, my throat tight with awe. It's real. I ran my fingers along the sleek kitchen counter, the polished desk in the office downstairs, the wide windows framing a world I never thought I'd touch. For once, the future wasn't out of reach. I held the key, but reality wasn't going to let me savor it in peace. That night, my phone lit up with messages. First Ethan, then Dad, then Mom. Ethan's text. You don't deserve that office. Give it up before you humiliate yourself. Dad's voicemail. Sarah, don't get cocky. This isn't permanent. Don't make me intervene. Each word was a hook trying to reel me back. I deleted them without a second thought, my pulse racing with fear and defiance. By morning, the storm arrived at my door. A sharp knock shook the condo. When I opened it, Ethan stormed in, eyes blazing with rage. His button-up was pristine, but his face was warped with panic. You think you can steal what's mine? He snapped, slamming a hand against the wall. I stood firm. It's not yours, Ethan. Grandpa gave it to me. He laughed, bitter and sharp, pacing the living room like a trapped wolf. Grandpa's lost it. You've got a pointless degree, Sarah. What are you going to do here? Play entrepreneur. Clients want results, not bookworms. His words stung, but something inside me broke free. I've spent my life listening to you tear me down, I shot back, my voice trembling but fierce. I'm done being your shadow. You want results? Watch me deliver. Ethan's nostrils flared. You'll regret this. Before I could respond, Grandpa's voice roared from the hallway. No, Ethan. The only one with regrets will be you. Ethan froze. Grandpa stood in the doorway, cane in hand, his gaze like wildfire. He stepped inside, commanding the room. You barge into her home like a bully, Grandpa snapped. Show some respect. Grandpa, you don't understand, Ethan said, his voice desperate. She's not cut out for this. She'll crash and burn. Grandpa's jaw tightened. Failure isn't the disgrace here. The disgrace is a brother who tries to crush his sister before she even starts. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. He spun around, storming out with a door slam that shook the walls. I stood rooted, adrenaline buzzing through me. Grandpa placed a hand on my shoulder. Don't let his fear infect you. People losing control always strike first. Tears stung my eyes. What if he's right, Grandpa? What if I fail? He looked at me with unwavering clarity. Then you fail on your terms, not his, not your father's, yours, and that's worth more than 1,000 empty wins built on their validation. I swallowed hard, his words filling the cracks where doubt lingered. That night, I sat at the office desk downstairs, my laptop's glow lighting my face. I stared at a blank document, heart pounding, but my fingers started moving. Plans, ideas, dreams I'd buried because no one believed in them. Each keystroke was defiance. Each line was proof I wasn't invisible. But outside, battle lines were forming. At home, Dad paced the living room, his voice thundering as he spoke to Mom. William's out of his mind. If Sarah succeeds, she'll make us look like fools. We need to stop her before she shames the family. Ethan sat nearby, fists clenched. Don't worry, Dad, she won't last. I'll make sure of it. Their words echoed like a war cry, even if I couldn't hear them. I felt the tension in my bones. My family wasn't going to let me rise without a struggle. They'd push, scheme, and test me to my limits. But for the first time, I was ready to fight back, and a quiet voice in my chest whispered, "Let them try." 3 weeks later, the downtown office hummed with quiet energy. A small group of young professionals, graduates like me, eyes bright with ambition, sat around the conference table. I looked at them, heart racing, as I clicked to the final slide of my presentation. "This," I said, pointing to the screen, "is our beginning. A consulting firm built on fresh ideas, not old rules. We don't need decades of clout, we need grit. And if we stand together, we'll prove everyone wrong." Applause filled the room. My throat tightened. They believed in me, but not everyone was cheering. The glass door swung open, and there stood Ethan and Dad. Dad's face was stone cold, Ethan smirking like he'd already won. The air grew heavy. "Nice show, Sarah," Dad said, his voice thick with sarcasm. "But let's be real, this is a fantasy, nothing more." Ethan leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You're embarrassing yourself. Shut it down before the whole city laughs." My team glanced at me uneasy. Heat surged in my chest, my hands shaking at my sides. I could collapse. I could let their words break me again, but I didn't. I stood taller, locking eyes with them. "You came all this way just to tear me down? Looks like I'm not the one wasting time." Ethan's smirk faded. Dad's face hardened. "Watch yourself," he said. Before I could reply, the conference door opened again. Grandpa stepped in, his cane tapping the floor, his presence silencing the room. He looked straight at Dad. "Enough, Michael. You've spent years crushing her spirit. That ends now." Dad scoffed. "She's not ready." "She's more ready than you ever were," Grandpa snapped. He turned to my team. "Do you know why I gave Sarah this office? Because she's the only one in this family with the guts to build something from scratch. Follow her not because she's my granddaughter, but because she's earned your respect." My chest swelled with emotion. Grandpa wasn't just defending me. He was giving me the authority Dad had always withheld. Ethan shook his head, his voice rising. "This is ridiculous. I've already built a company. I'm the one with experience." Grandpa's gaze locked onto him. "Experience means nothing if arrogance poisons it." Ethan's face flushed. He pointed at me. "You'll regret this, Sarah. You'll crash, and when you do, don't come crying back." His words were sharp, meant to cut, but they didn't touch me anymore. I met his gaze, my voice steady and strong. "Ethan, I won't crawl anywhere. Not to you, not to Dad. I'll stand on my own, and when I succeed, you'll have no choice but to watch." Gasps echoed around the room. My team's eyes glowed with respect. Grandpa's lips twitched into a faint smile. For the first time, I felt unbreakable. Dad grabbed Ethan's arm, his voice low and strained. "Let's go." They stormed out, their footsteps sharp against the floor, but they couldn't undo what had happened. The power had shifted. I turned to my team, my hands steady now. "Where were we? Oh, right, building the future." They laughed, clapped, and leaned in with fresh energy. As I glanced at Grandpa, pride shining in his eyes, I knew the truth. I wasn't the overlooked daughter anymore. I was Sarah Hayes, leader, graduate, fighter, and this was only the beginning.